I want to thank our Chief of Staff, Laura Santucci. I want to thank Tony Shoris, our first Deputy Mayor. The Department of Citywide Administrative Services is under his command. I want to thank Emma Wolf, our Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, and the City Legislative Office is on her watch. And I noticed the attendance in the first row of a lovely young lady who appears to be my wife. So I'd like to welcome the First Lady. And I know she is very happy today to see additional Bayesian presence in our city government, which we'll talk about in a moment. I also like to, at the beginning of each of our announcements, remind everyone we, every single day, refer to our core values, our core goals as we go through the process of building out our administration. A progressive government, a diverse government, effective government. And these appointees today really reflect that, the realization of those goals. And I want to say, as you'll hear about them, they're two individuals who truly understand the grassroots of our city, and that's something that is implicit in all of our criteria. You know, whether you're talking about progressive values, whether you're talking about the diversity of our city, whether you're talking about effectiveness, all of those points connect to an understanding of our neighborhoods, an understanding of all 5 boroughs, and these appointees epitomize that. And whether it is making sure that the very complex dynamics of running this government are effective and efficient, or whether it is making sure the legislative process works well on behalf of New Yorkers and that there's close coordination between our legislative goals and the work of our colleagues in the City Council. These are the kind of folks who make government work every single day. So Stacey Cumberbatch and John Paul Lupo are the kind of folks I hoped we could bring into this administration, dedicated public servants who really believe in our values. Let me talk about Stacey first and the role she will play as Commissioner of the Department for Citywide Administrative Services. Stacey is someone I've known for quite a while, and she's distinguished herself over many years as a great problem solver, someone who understands New York City government and knows how to make things work, even under the toughest circumstances. I first met Stacey early on in my career in the New York City Council. I was chairman of the General Welfare Committee, and one of the first initiatives I worked on was legislation to ensure that victims of domestic violence got really instantaneous access to shelter. We found that victims of domestic violence were being asked, unfortunately and unduly, for documentation that kept them from getting shelter right away, documentation that in some cases actually was back where the person battering them was. We needed to streamline it. We needed to make it a more compassionate and accessible system. And at the time, Stacey was working on the issue of public housing, and that was where the reality is many of our victims of domestic violence lived. We worked together on trying to figure out a way to improve access to shelter for people in need. And I was immediately impressed by her nuts and bolts knowledge of the government and ways of getting things done. And she has, if you look at her career, she has often chosen to take on the tough missions that involve having to untangle bureaucratic problems and get things to work. She's been now at it for almost 25 years between government and nonprofits, and she knows how to do the things that we need done at DCAS. Other people have relied on her to do similar work, and she's done it with distinction. One of the things I saw her do, and I worked with her also on when I was public advocate, was her work as the city census coordinator. Everyone knows the census process is an incredibly complicated one, particularly difficult for New York City. And in the past, New York City often got undercounted because of the vagaries of the federal census system. We needed an aggressive, creative approach. And Stacey did that. She worked with community partners. She worked with immigrant advocacy groups. She figured out a way to get the government to work with the grassroots in a new and compelling way to maximize our chance of getting the truest possible census number, which has everything to say with what kind of federal funding we get and so many other crucial decisions. The result was very impressive, a response rate that was higher than the city's response rate 10 years earlier in the 2000 census, and it placed New York City in the quote-unquote most improved category in the federal government's analysis of how cities had done around the country. So Stacey was the architect of a very effective effort to improve our approach to the census. Now, for her trouble, she was rewarded with a new mission. And I will safely say that this was something that happened in the previous administration. When the City Time scandal occurred, and the ramifications of it were that a huge amount of taxpayer money had been at risk, and we had a broken system hemorrhaging that money. Stacey was brought in to right the ship. She not only managed to make fundamental changes and turn it around, she figured out how to reset the system overall so it could serve the many people it was supposed to in a more equitable and effective manner. Now she serves as the Deputy Executive Director of the Financial Information Services Agency, where she works to maintain and improve our timekeeping system every day. You would look at all this and say that's a great professional record and that's all there is to know, but I think if you look a little deeper, you'll see that her ability to figure out these complicated things and make them work in the real world conditions of New York City is because she's not only a savvy person, but she's a savvy native New Yorker, the best kind of savvy person. Grew up in East Elmhurst and has spent the last 20 years in Bed-Stuy. And I'm going to speak on behalf of the First Lady here, who would be the first to say that one of the contributing factors would be Stacey's Bayesian heritage, which has driven her to excellence, as is well known of the Bayesian people. And I would say her Jamaican and Trinidadian roots have contributed as well. So got my plug in for the Bayesians there. I'm really appreciative of the fact that Stacey is ready to take on this new mission as Commissioner of DCAS. DCAS does some of the most important work of government, yet it's some of the least known work. When you think about all of the things we do to purchase the goods and services of government and the ramifications of that, the opportunity that that gives us to do better at bringing more people into the benefits of our economy. Our purchasing system is a gateway to a more equitable approach when it comes to, for example, helping New York City small businesses to have more opportunity in purchasing, helping minority and women-owned businesses, all of the different opportunities in terms of personnel all over the city government that DCAS helps to coordinate, are opportunities to get jobs to people who have not had them as readily, to help address unemployment pockets that exist in the city. We have to make sure through DCAS that this city government functions efficiently and always with the taxpayers' interests in mind. But we can do even more and make sure that everything we do in our city government is furthering the work of fighting inequality and creating opportunity. Stacey knows that, and she understands that, and she understands the great possibilities that DCAS has to offer. And I'm certain that she's going to continue to improve the work of DCAS, but also make it an agent for fighting inequality in this city. She's got the right mindset, the right skills, and I'm proud to welcome her as our new DCAS Commissioner.
Thank you so very much.
I'll see I think we're going to give you the step. I think you get the step. There you go.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
I'm switching.
Thank you, Mayor de Blasio. I am so very honored to serve this great city as the new DCAS Commissioner. As you said, DCAS is the foundation that makes city government run and work every day. It runs all of the major back office operations for the city, purchasing goods, services, recruiting and training the city's workforce, managing city buildings, office space, as well as fleet services. Doing all of this while being efficient, green, fair, and equitable by providing economic opportunity for every community in all 5 boroughs to live a good quality life. I am the grandchild of very proud immigrants from Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad who came to New York City almost 100 years ago, also seeking a better life. They instilled in me and my parents the value and dignity of public service, using one's talent and skills in assisting families and communities to achieve their highest potential and aspirations. So grounded in values of fairness, equity, and justice, I take on the task of ensuring that DCAS uses all of its levers to create opportunities for all New Yorkers. I want to especially thank my family who's here today and my wonderful mother, Joyce, who has always supported me and shown me by example how deeply to love people and support people in everything that they do. Thank you, Mom, and thank you again.
I'd like to say thank you, Mom. You did good. I want to give you the official response as Mayor of the City of New York. You've done good.